Hello everybody, Roger here. Welcome back to Automation. Today we are going to continue building our car company, Vector Automotive. Now, Automation is on the cusp of a very big update that will fill in a lot of the gaps that have to do with the car models, and it will improve the testing aspect of it, where you'll kind of get some results as to how well your car performs in the real world, quote-unquote real world. So the things we're missing here are interiors. The weights are kind of just a guesstimate at the moment. The aerodynamics can't be tuned. A lot of the suspension stuff hasn't been implemented yet. And as for the testing, there is no real testing here. We're just getting some stats. They are working on making a test track. You won't be driving the car on it, but you will get results as to how your car performed on the test track, and that will give me a much better kind of standard to go by. So I'm kind of building these cars and just playing along that yes, this was a successful car, or no, it wasn't a successful car. In the next update, I'll start to actually get some results and see if this car would be, well received or not. And I will refer you to Kilrob's video explaining how that system works, because there's no way I could explain it as well as he did. So I will just link that video here, and we will continue on and do something just a little bit fun today, because I don't really want to continue pushing our company into the future, because I'm waiting for that update to come out so then I can work a little bit more realistically. So I want to cover something that is really cool to me, and one of the things that kind of got me into road racing and sports car racing, and that was the IMSA GTU series. Now, it was not the GTU series. The GTU was a class it was basically the top tier American road racing series of the 80s and partly through the 90s. The GTU class was primarily entry-level sports cars, your RX-7s, your 240s, Fieros. There was some more high-speed cars, like Ferrari had an entry in GTU. GM always had entries in GTU with their weird cars that I can't remember. I want to say Oldsmobile even had a GTU car. But they're basically tube frame cars with fiberglass bodies that were pretty slicked out, so they were, not a street car body, but they resembled the car. Similar to what you see in modern road racing cars. Not really prototypes, not really true stock GT cars. It's kind of somewhere in the middle. But these ones were much lower horsepower. You were talking between 300 and 400 horsepower, rather than the GTO or prototype cars, which were 600 plus. It was very neat to me to see that these cars existed. I think it's a shame that most of them don't exist anymore. I have looked for years to try and track down if there is any remaining 240SX GTU cars. I've yet to find one. But now, getting back to topic, I want to build a version of our Vector Ray that is a kind of a homage to the GTU series, as if we had a GTU entry and we made a streetcar version of it, or a streetcar or a race car inspired streetcar. Mazda did it with the RX-7, so let's do it with the Ray, and we can, I believe, hit new model with this same body. Yes. Now the question is, do I want to change the body any? This is already a pretty sporty looking car, but there might be some things we want to change. I don't know, it's got all the vents and everything. I don't see a whole lot that we could improve as far as the body goes to make it racier. So perhaps what we'll do is just kind of take this body and make it into something that was realistically sporty rather than just looking sporty. Okay, so we're going to keep it rear-wheel drive, but the biggest thing is we need to make an engine that is appropriate for this car. If we go back, this previous one had a 3.5 liter overhead cam V8, which was pretty neat, but not probably something that would be found in the GTU series. They would typically be V6s, straight 6s, turbo inline 4s, you know, not really any V8s. I might want to try and use our 3.5 liter V8, but kind of not go too crazy with it, because I don't want to go over, say, 400 horsepower. So I'm just going to play that by ear, and maybe I'll get inspired to do something else besides the V8. Alright, so let's go back here. Rear drive, choose an engine. Now we've got some engines to choose from. The straight 6s will not fit. They never will fit, but they could fit in the next version. That's another thing that's coming in the update, is you can change the size of the car bodies, which is awesome, because that it takes a fairly limited amount of car bodies that we have right now and expands it to an extremely diverse group of cars you can make, because you can take all of those car bodies and make them into smaller or larger models. So that is something that will be huge in the next update. But let's see. This is the motor we built, and it made 206 horsepower, 196 foot-pounds of torque. Okay, so I guess this one's logical to work with for our GTU series. I guess I don't want to make no more than 400 horsepower, so let's see. I'll refine this one. And it was pretty close at all the size restraints, so I probably won't make it any bigger. And I did a little bit of research to try and find the GTU specs, and I didn't quite do that, but I think 3.5 liters was the max. It was possibly 3 liters, but well, we'll deal with what we have. Obviously we're not breaking any horsepower numbers out of the ballpark, so I think the 3.5 will work just fine. Alright, on the bottom end, let me just go over everything and see what I did. Okay, so looking at the stats, we had a red line of 6,000. I'd like to get that to be a little bit higher. Let's see, octane was 86. We'll probably up that to be more race fuel-esque. We don't care about economy, we don't care about emissions, we don't care about service cost. Weight 427. I think I'm going to stick with the iron block. Actually, no, we could afford to put an aluminum block in this thing. So the same casting, but just an aluminum version of it. So that drops us down. Hardly any weight, did it? No, I haven't tested it yet. Let's just do that. Oh yeah, 380 pounds. So a nice improvement in the weight. Here's another thing I've noticed. Iron blocks and aluminum heads in this era, massively worse MTDF. Current year 1980. I'm gonna bump that up to 1985. Gives a little bit more tech, and I think this car, I think we originally said this car started in 80, so we could say that it continued through 1985 without a model change. That seems to be realistic. Alrighty. How about we up the compression to, we'll go up to 9.5. We're going to put some race cams in it. So we'll go all the way up to 80. Bottom end wise, we have hypertectic pistons. Let's try and put some forged H-beam conrods in there, just to give us a little bit more RPM limit. So 6,500. We're going to go up to premium unleaded. We don't have race fuel to choose from in this era, but hopefully with the cam profile and some other changes I'll make, we'll be able to afford using that high compression. Oh, where's that? Yeah, here. So I want to take this carbureted setup off. I'm going to go with a mechanical injection setup. So it'll be basically individual throttle bodies. Looks really cool. I really, really like the way it looks. Is the carburetor still on there? Oh no, that's the fuel delivery. Oh, it's cool. I've never actually seen that model before. It is really neat looking. Let's put some... Yeah, let's put some more vibrant valve covers on there. This is a race motor. Okay, so hopefully that will help. That will help with our fueling issues. We're going to go with not really a race intake because it is in a sports car series, not a... it's not really like a prototype or F1 car, you know, it's not a once and done motor, so we want it to live through at least a couple races. That would be nice. Well, let's see what else we can do. We're gonna go to a dual exhaust now. We'll go up to 2.5-inch pipe is fine, actually. No cats and no mufflers. And we'll go for long tube headers. I don't think race tubulars like this had really come to be just yet, or not for this level of car. Like I said, this is not the super high budget GTO race car. This is the lower budget GTU car, and it's very within our max horsepower. All right, so with those changes, let's see where we stack. Talk about a peaky motor. Nothing. Oh, there's some power. But that's okay. That's kind of the norm for a race car of this caliber. They won't make a lot of power down low. They will just make the power right in the end of the rev band, because that's primarily where you'll be staying. We're actually very okay on our fuel octane, so that's good. We went up to 82 in loudness. That's good. That always makes me happy. But 293, not quite there yet. We need to do some more stuff to this baby. Okay, so we had more, or not much fuel, but a little bit to work with, so we can help some timing. I'm thinking I can actually bridge this thing up a little bit with this mechanical injection, which will mean we can give it even more compression. Alright, so let's do a quick test and see where that takes us. Oop, too far. Engine is knocking. Alright, now we've broken that 300 horsepower mark, but we are right on 90 on the fuel octane. We're really low on torque, but that's to be expected of a motor this small. Sorry, an engine this small. I'm never going to be able to stop saying that, so I'm sorry to whoever it upsets. It upsets me too, but I can't stop saying it. Let's see. Wow, our MTBF is actually still really high. That makes me wonder if maybe we can run a few more RPM out of this thing. We'll go up to 7,000 just to see how it blows up. I love that cam idle. Now we're still running a single overhead cam setup. That's okay, I think that's within our means for this era. We're no powerhouse Toyota or GM or anybody like that yet. We're still very new to this, so I don't want to go too crazy on the high tech. Looks like we did indeed run into some bottom end issues, so I'll probably come right back down to like 6,600. Alright, how can we get a little bit more power out of this thing? We can try an even more aggressive cam profile. It might not pay off due to not having enough RPM to get that high, so we'll see. Yep, as I expected. Now it can't reach that high, so peak power would probably be somewhere around here, but the connecting rods would probably be somewhere around here, if it ran that high. So that does not gain us anything. So what about going the other way? Actually coming down off on that cabin profile. Oh wow, oh now it's knocking. Oh, okay. So we're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place there. 306 horsepower might be just what this motor is going to make. Sorry, this engine. Gosh. Just what this engine's going to make. And for the street car variants, you know, this is not the actual race car or the actual race car engine, so I think that's okay. This will just be a special edition limited production car that you could buy, and you would either go race it yourself or you would just have some kind of hot rod for the street. Our MTBF is still very, very respectable for the performance it's making, so we're gonna call this one the HO, high output. Let's save that. And now, just for a few minutes, I'm gonna tinker around and see how much power I could actually get out of this thing. Alrighty, so I have been tuning on this thing for a little while now, and I think I've come up with an engine that would make a appropriate race engine. It would be competitive enough. I ended up going for this weird equal length setup, but overall, I think I've gotten it pretty competitive. And we're gonna mess around here with the other test mode where you can just kind of run the engine as you want. Oh yeah, listen to that. Small displacement V8, high revving with individual throttle bodies on mechanical fuel injection. I'm sure that would have been something to hear. I really love the new little bit of reverb added to the dyno room. See, we're having a little bit of issue with the pistons, but it's not affecting the MTBF, so I think it's okay. So we're hitting about 350 horsepower. So let's see, go back to test mode. Yeah, 352 horsepower and 265 foot-pounds of torque. So not very torquey, but tons of peak horsepower. Here's just, I'll just go through these so you can see what I've done. Nothing there. I've got a lot of compression now, very high cam profile, and did go up to I-beam steel on the connecting rods. Alrighty, so that was just kind of for fun, but we'll call this one the race motor engine. Gosh. Now let's go back and select the HO. Choose. Will be a manual gearbox. It will be a standard clutch. We are not into the era where there's floppy paddles or anything like that, so you're still pretty much shifting your own gears in this era. We will go up to a 6-speed transmission. Now for street car, we would want a top speed of above what the car's top speed is, so we'd have overdrive. In this case, we don't really want that. We want just as much top speed as the car can probably handle, and 164 seems to be about it. I will go one click over just in case we reduce the arrow on it a little bit and get some more speed. Only open diff to choose from for now. Rims and tires. How wide can we go? 235 and 235. Well, that fills out those fender wells nicely. Wheel diameter, we want... They didn't start using the super low profile tires just yet in this era. But we'll go up to can we go up to a 16-inch rim? Nope, car's too small. We can go down to a 10. That's hilarious looking. Okay, let's go back to a 15. That was funny. We'll put semi-slicks on it. You will say that it came with some, what I call the cheater slicks from the factory. Little brakes, solid discs. We'll put some big 4-piston calipers up front. Well, I use the term big loosely. Some 4-piston calipers up front with some, should we have some up pads or some down pads? Some up pads. We'll put as big a disc in the front as we can, and we'll even do 2 pistons in the back with a pretty large disc back there as well. Alright, onto the suspension. We're we're going to say this car came with a little bit of camber to it, more so than a street car normally would, and a very stiff suspension and a lot of damper stiffness. You don't want to go too crazy with the dampening stiffness because you'll actually do negative things to the grip of the car because it can't handle the bumps anymore. So any little bump and you lose your whole G-load. I'll say some big sway bars, especially up front. That big, fairly big front engine setup. A low ride height. And total weight, we're gonna say this car was completely slimmed down. You'll have minimal interior, and we will get to choose that soon, but we're gonna say this one had minimal interior and just lightweight everything. So 2,200 pounds ish. Okay. We're going to say that the weight distribution is a little better as well and go for a 55.2 and a 44.7. Aerodynamics, we need required cooling of 237. And we make it just that. Because that reduces our CD, which is good. Alright, testing. I'd like to see a 0 to 60 of under 6 would be nice. Top speed 157, so yes, we are limited by aero. 0 to 62 in 5.9. That's pretty good. Quarter mile in 13.9. That is actually a very quick car, and for the price this thing would be, it's a good thing that it's that quick. that engine's probably pretty pricey. I said 1,500. I'm guessing it would cost a little bit more than that. The braking, that's a reasonable braking distance. Cornering, 0.96 G. That is very good. 16.3 miles per gallon still. That's probably better than a Corvette of the era, so this would be a very, very neat car to own. I would say, you know, it's not attractive like a Corvette, but it's got the performance, and it's got a little bit of economy and practicality as well. Okay, so now let's look at the yaw rate. Oh, very nice. That is about perfect. So it stays right up, tucked to the line, and then it will just all of a sudden get understeer because it just can't possibly grip anymore. That are very, very good. Pleased with that. Downforce, it makes a pretty good amount of downforce, especially at top speed, which in a car like this, you wouldn't want that because it's very light, and if you actually did get it up to, say, 150 miles an hour, you'd not want to be floating all over the road because a normal car like this would not be making downforce, it would actually be making lift, it would get light to the wheel, and you just feel very uncomfortable. So, good to have a little bit of downforce. Nothing crazy, but, you know, just a little to help you keep planted to the road. Alrighty, so I am excited about that. That went much better than I expected it to. I think I'm very pleased with that. So like I said, this was kind of just a fun episode because I wanted to kind of pay some homage to the GTU series or the GTU class because of how important it is to me, and I didn't want to move forward too much with the car company until the next update, so you may or may not see another automation until that update drops, but it shouldn't be too much longer. And definitely want to build some suspense and some excitement about that update because it is very exciting. But as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.